You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Here we go, Friday edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill, and looking forward to the matchup against the Oilers on Saturday night. And Rosie, we could see a different goaltender. The Stuart Skinner era over in Edmonton, and Tristan Jarry's now the number one. How about that, man?
Yes, sir. And just in time for the pesky Maple Leafs. They've been talking goalies for a while and finally pulled a trigger. I don't know, man. Is this guy a lot better than Stewie Skins? I do not know. We're going to find out, but pretty similar numbers, aren't they? I don't know if I'd want to be Jarry going into that market, apparently now being the savior, and what everybody wanted is to get a new goalie, and now he's the guy with the hopes on their back with Connor McDavid's clock ticking. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting.
It's a lot of pressure, and I will say I think Pittsburgh put together a pretty good deal. Credit to Kyle Dubas and company there in Pitt, because I think even the chance to maybe flip Kulak, flip Skinner, I think it'd be the funniest thing in the world if Stuart Skinner goes to Pittsburgh, turns it on, he becomes a reputable guy who has it game in, game out, and they make the Stanley Cup playoffs. Because Pittsburgh right now, pretty uncanny, pretty crazy. They're in a playoff spot as they make this trade, but obviously it was to their liking, so they pulled the trigger. And to your point, I don't know how much better this makes the Edmonton Oilers, not to mention they lost a big glue guy in Brett Kulak, who was big in that room too.
Yeah, the 50% retained is nice on Jarry, obviously. Yeah. But again, like, all they need is more saves, and they're such an inconsistent team with just blowing teams out and then getting smoked by another one, and just they're all over the map. And the defensive low lights from Bouchard and some of these giveaways and just grotesque D zone, and then some bad looking goaltending here and there. I don't know if Jarry is the answer, but I mean, a lot of people were just saying, just give us someone different for a different look and a different mentality between the pipes, and they've got it. So now we're going to see if it does in fact make them any better.
It's always interesting when teams pull off deals or make moves of any sort, and the Oilers are starting to cook a bit. They're 3-0-1 in the last 4 games, coming off a 4-1 win against Detroit last night, and this is when they pull the trigger. But long-term, we all knew that the answer wasn't Stuart Skinner. I still think they need a backup, but imagine just being a GM in this day and age. It just tells me, at least seeing this trade come across the wire, there wasn't much out there. Like, they had to do something. Tristan Jarry is the guy that made the most sense, so they acted upon it. But I don't know about you. The jury's still out for me if the Oilers are that much better with Jarry, and B, can they go far in the Stanley Cup playoffs again? That's a lot of hockey the last couple of years.
Yes, it is. And they have played a lot of it, and they've, obviously got to the final twice. And a lot of people look back and say, I don't think they were as close last year, but if they can get better, I think he had like an 8-6 in one final and a 900 in the other one, like kind of average and below average. And is Jarry going to be better? We'll see. It's funny that the trigger's been pulled, and we're going to be watching now. The whole Oilers nation's going to be watching, and they got what they wanted. We'll see if it's any better, but it's definitely interesting, and it's just in time for Saturday night. I'm sure we'll see him between the pipes.
I'm fired up, and I was going to say, how envious you think Oilers Nation is of our crease right now, the Maple Leafs crease. Like, even Artur Akhtiamov's got a pretty bright future ahead, I would say. I don't know when his NHL debut is coming, but the Leafs are 3 strong when healthy. I mean, you could say that for every team in this league, but they got Stoli, they got Wall, and the more and more I watch Dennis Hildeby, the more excited I get, Rosie.
I know, it's funny. I can't say I watched him on the Marlies. You just, you look at numbers and he's there, and he's coming up, and he's a grown talent in that market. But, you look at last season, they were reluctant to give him the crease. You look at early this season, they go out and they get Caden Primo. They go and they get James Reimer, and they were just reluctant to give him the crease. And injuries put them in a position where they got to give it to him, and he has had ample opportunity to blow it or show that he isn't ready or have hiccups or have an off night or a bad game or some bad goals. He hasn't shown any of that. He has been rock solid, and to, much of Leafs Nation's pleasure. He looks like he could be the future of the crease in many ways. As you know, it's not one guy anymore. You kind of got to have two. And, when healthy, we seem to have three. So I don't know. It makes me think that if they need to make a move and get say a top six forward, I mean, a lot of people looking for goalies, and we've
Yeah.
kind of got an abundance. So that's really the only strength we have in trade value is our depth at goaltending position. It makes people start to chatter about what that could look like.
It's such a volatile position, and I know this guy's still maturing into an everyday professional goaltender, but like a couple years ago, he showed some signs. Last year, he was horrendous. This year's great. I don't know what he's going to be next year. You can make that case for so many different goalies, but this Hildeby run has been just so important for this team, and he's playing big. That's the best part about him. You can't give somebody their size. This guy's 6'7". He's hulking, man. Like he fits the prospects of what you probably want in a goaltender in 2025. And I won't lie, I'm really, really excited to see his progression. I think obviously best case scenario for Leafs fans, he spends the most of the year in the AHL with the Marlies, but we haven't seen Stolar's back in the mix, so we don't know when that's happening. But you're right. It's a good problem to have if you're the Maple Leafs when these guys are healthy to have a full stack crease the way they do. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and third in the world. Should mention as well, if you want more information on that Jari trade after this show, head on over to the Oilers Nation YouTube channel, and they got emergency pods up. They're all over the coverage over there and getting set for this game against the Leafs coming up on Saturday as well. But man, so I was at that game last night. I was feeling really good. I wondered what the game actually looked like from the outside looking in because I thought Hildeby was so good. Defensively, I didn't think they were as good as they've been previously, but he made some big saves. But I won't lie, the OEL injury hurt big time. I think this is going to be a massive loss for this Leafs team. Effectively, he's been their #1 defenseman this season. More evaluation needed. We don't know the timeline on OEL, but that did not look good, Rosie.
No, it didn't. It's they just can't go very many steps without having a blow to their lineup. I mean, look at their back end now. You have Tanev, Carlo, and OEL on the shelf. Like that's decimated. Yet, with the emergence of Stecher's holding a lot of it together, to be honest, he's holding a lot of weight right now. But yeah, every time you seem to it's like your foot's not supposed to do that in a skate, and it's an immediate, like when you're a player and something happens, sometimes you kind of shake it off. What was that? And time will tell how bad it feels. That's one of the ones where it's like instant. I am like something just happened, and I don't know if it's like a high ankle sprain or if he broke his ankle, but it looks terrible. And he's been solid this year, and it's a huge blow, and it just makes you wonder, that much more, like, when is Tanev going to be ready? What's the story with Carlo? And we know he's had a procedure done, and he's going to be a month, correct, from when that took place. So again, these guys are just trying to put pieces together as pieces keep falling off. So terrible news. I had a bad taste in my mouth at the end of the game regardless, but that was just another cherry on top, losing OEL, man. And Mermis is out, and he was looking solid. Like, it's just, I hate this next man up mentality. We know who the next man up is.
Who's next?
Great. It's not great. Yeah. So yeah, a huge blow. But on the positive side of things, what is that? 6 in a row with points.
Yeah.
There's certainly a bright side, but when you dig deeper in the layers, still question marks, man.
Man, I'm gutted for him because whether he wanted to admit it or not, the Olympics were on the radar. He was playing excellent. He was a top defenseman for this team. And I was about to interview him on Monday. That's not going to happen now. So we're going to go back in the room a one-on-one. It's not going to be with OEL, but wishing him a speedy recovery. That's just a big-time loss, man. Like, I don't know to calibrate it. And on top of that, the wording has been really weird with respect to Chris Tanev. Like, after the game, Chief asked again about it. He said decision will be made in the next day or so. What kind of decision are we talking about? Because I'm sure we've all seen it out there, man. It sounds like there's surgery on the table, which would put him out possibly for the season. So It's really weird to think about their blue line, what it could look like in 10 games from now. Never mind now.
Oh, I know. And yeah, that to me, he's got to go see the doctor and then they're going to make a decision. And I think, you give them the 6 weeks or whatever to start to heal and feel how things are moving. And I think, they'll go take another picture, see how things have progressed. And I mean, with Kipper, releasing the information that surgery is on the
Yeah.
table, and it could be one of those situations where it's not safe to play and you have to get something corrected. Like, yeah, it's very possible we lose him for the season. And part of me feels like is best case scenario, he gets a procedure done and then we see if he's ready, like right before playoffs. And then what kind of athlete is he going to be then when he hasn't played the majority of the season and you throw him into the most important time of the year? It's just not good. I mean, there's a sliver of hope that they get looked at and he says, this is how I've been feeling for 6 weeks. They say, this is what the picture shows. Everyone feels pretty confident. Are you feeling good? We feel good on our end and you're ready to rock and try this again. I think that is just that, a sliver of hope that is the case. But again, all we're told is we got to wait for this decision to be made. And God, I hope it's a positive one because that back end is looking bleak without those three guys.
In support of Sick Kids at Sutton745, thank you so much for the super chat. Just wishing you guys both a Merry Christmas. Go Leafs go. Merry Christmas to you as well. I'm happy we can say Merry Christmas again because 3 years ago it was Happy Holidays that we could all say. But now we're back to Merry Christmas.
Not for
At
me,
least
it
here in
wasn't.
Ontario.
Not
At least
for me,
here
it
in
wasn't.
Ontario, man. It's like you'd be like, Merry Christmas. Somebody's like, oh, what'd you do to me?
Violence. Violence. Oh my God. That's the last kind of shit I subscribe to. Thank you very much. And I'm sure
dude.
most of our followers feel the same.
Yes, sir. So we got Paul Bissonnette coming on today's podcast. Really looking forward to this and pretty serious vibe check for where this Leafs team's at coming up in about 15 here, Rosie.
Yeah, it is. And again, I had a rough taste in my mouth last night, but
Yeah.
they looked like they were in control of that game. And then all of a sudden, it would have been nice to get that 3-goal lead. They had chances. That's one of the big things is they had a bunch of chances. The chances against were kicked aside by our goaltender. Is a fairly solid, again, the second period, which has been, one of their Achilles heels is getting that going in the middle of that game. And they had a solid second period. I will admit there was a lot of D-zone play where it's like, Jesus, they're kind of peppering us right now. But that's hockey, and the margins are thin. They got a point. It sure would have been nice to get two, to blow a 2-goal lead. Kind of ugly, but the Sharks aren't what they were in the past. They've got some guns, and they're capable of playing solid. It was just a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not going haywire and saying this team's not what we thought and this isn't a turnaround. They're still playing much better hockey. And again, getting points in all kinds of games consistently, that's big. I'm kind of come see, come saw on it. But yeah, the cherry on top of the gross taste in my mouth was, so you're tortured, eh? I noticed all your comments were like, this is garbage and they fucking... I wasn't that tortured. I mean, some of the bad hockey we've seen from this team this season, I don't think that was something to get too worked up about that game. Disappointing not to get both, yes. But to me, it was overtime. You've got possession of the puck, and you gave it away, like, inexplicably by some of their top players 3 times in a row. Not to mention, could have got the puck out in the final couple minutes, 6-on-5, and just, like, whiffed on it. That was Willie, and I thought Willie had a great game and kind of had one of those I'll show you what I am and remind everybody type of games, but that it wasn't a giveaway. It was just pucks on your stick and he kind of whiffed on it. And then it's in the back of the net. That's 2 points right there if he gets that thing over the blue line. But, a seeing eye shot from the point. Again, I didn't get too worked up about it. It was just a bit disappointing.
No, I agree. I'm not that worked up about it. I'll tell you what I didn't like in that game. But at the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs 20 Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Don't forget to visit leafsnation.com. Crave the Stats, a presentation of Uber Eats. Every time the Leafs play at home, you can get these exclusive deals only on Uber Eats. Firehouse Subs, Bogo Brisket, Hat-Trick, Kibo Sushi, Bogo California Roll, Shelby Shawarma, Bogo Traditional App. That's right. Buy one, get one before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. John Klingberg, the revenge man, the revenge angle. Klingberg ties at 125 left. I thought he had a whale of a game. He looked night and day from the guy we saw in Toronto. Ryan Reeves almost scored. But honestly, I'm right there with you. Like, I think it's important to compartmentalize, or whatever that word is, where it's like it's a 5-game sector. So every 5 games you build upon that. In the grand junction of this homestand, okay, they're 1-0-2. It's just the way they squandered that game against an inferior opponent where they controlled that hockey game. And I would say the big turning point was the OEL injury. They were flat after that. And my biggest gripe was just the tying goal and the OT winner. Some carelessness with the puck and also without it from your star players. I'm not here to rag on Matthews and Nylander for 55 minutes long. I'm not going to do that. You just need something better and more. I don't see that from the upper echelon players in this league, and it just was not a great look. Like, I'm not one to question coaching decisions because, fuck, I've never coached a day in my life, and Craig Berube's won a Stanley Cup, but I don't know this necessity to have Nylander on the ice down or up a goal in the third period, because if you really want to zone in on his shift that led to the Klingberg goal, pretty ugly stuff. Then it got to OT, and then it's like more frustration with Austin Matthews. Like, it's so clear in my world. We'll ask Biz coming up. Something's going on with this guy. Like, in the past, Rosie, he would get to this area, this pocket in the ice, especially in OT. It's 3-on-3. And just fire that fucking puck. I don't care who's in there. Carey Price, Ken Dryden. It doesn't matter. He's shooting the puck. I don't know what that was. Like, he went into the defenseman and tried to deke into the guy's ball. It made no sense to me. They give it away. Sharks come the other way. I know people are ripping on Matthews for the back check. He was probably gassed, but it was just an ugly last, 15 minutes of playing time, I felt.
Yeah, with that back check, he's completely gassed. And I mean, even if you play beer league, like, your brain just doesn't work anymore, and you can't get to the right position and you're just completely shut off. So it was more of the turnover. Like, you have possession, like, you see, like, it's just, you went into traffic exposing the puck first, and like, that's not a high percentage play. You have possession, and that first Faceoff often determines who's going to win the game in overtime, because possession, you get it. There's so much room out there. You do not give it up. They gave it up 3 times. There was one time in their own zone they had it, and it was 2-on-1. It was a 19-year-old kid in Celebrini outmuscles both of them and just takes it. And now we don't have possession anymore. We get it back, and then we ice it, and then we get it back, and then we turn it right over again. That was a little bit stunning. Again, once the Leafs get possession in overtime with 3-on-3, the percentage of winning the game goes up exponentially in my mind. Just, it's too hard to get it back. You just have to go back to that diamond and defend, and hopefully they screw it up. And they screwed it up like 3 times. And yes, in 6-on-5, like, Willie, you quote unquote demote him down to the third line. He is not a third line player. That is a bit risky with a star player. There's lots of guys in this league that would create turmoil, that would create a bad attitude. He would go into a shell and pout and do all that shit. That's not Willie. I mean, his comments were, I think it's great. And he could not have, he handled that better. And I had a feeling he was going to go out there and be like, now I'll turn it on and remind everybody and be the good team guy. And he did. He looked phenomenal. That power play goal is what we have been looking for a year and a half. It's crazy. Amazing. How I'll just move it to the side. Now I'll move it to the point. Now it's just like, okay, I'll just stand here and watch you make passes on the perimeter. They finally thread a beauty seam pass, and 34 bangs it home like we used to see. But to have him out there 6-on-5, like, he's not your best defensive player. Like, I'd have a Scott Lawton out there, or I'd have a Kelly Yarncroke out there before I'd have Willie. He has a tendency to kind of be a little bit cavalier with the puck. And I understand Craig Berube is going, hey, you handled the demotion really well. It was something that we just needed to do with the lineup. You did it like a pro. You came out and had a great game, and you're showing who you are. I'm going to reward you with, some ice time. And it's just not that last minute of ice time. Like, that's just not the place to put him. And I guess you're trying to, reward him, or, show that you're still, I don't know, but that's not a Willie Nylander situation. 6-on-5 with a minute and a half left. It was, and again, it's on his stick, and he just doesn't get it out. Like, you got to grind that thing out on that wall, and he didn't. And, you're picking parts, but I mean, that was the game right there. It's not getting it out, getting tied up 6-on-5 and losing overtime and blow a 2-goal lead. Disappointing for sure, but it's just funny with how it seems like I'm sure they're trying to manage Willie. And I can't imagine. I don't know what's going to happen now with Bobby McMahon coming back in. Like, what's going to happen to these lines? Are they going to keep that? Like, that third line looked good with Joshua and Willie. It's kind of an odd lineup, but you're spreading the wealth around of talent throughout the top three lines. That's hard to match up against. I get it. But like, Willie's not a third line player. I don't know how happy he's going to be being on there. That being said, he played like 22 minutes still being on the third line. So it's not like all Willie wants is his ice time and he wants his reps. He still got him there. It's very interesting, but yeah, for a couple of different reasons, disappointing, gross taste in my mouth, losing that game when I don't think it would have taken too much to win that game.
I would say message received by Nylander. Aside from that, at the end, I thought he was awesome. I thought that line was great. And tell you what makes a hockey player hornier than an empty net? Like, just watching that shift, you could tell guys were creeping a bit to the neutral zone to try to get that puck to bang it in. Joshua had a chance, he iced it. Like, anybody who's played hockey, I don't care what level it is, you see that net empty, you get a bit horned up. And I think that's exactly what happened to the Leafs last night.
I know, and that's why you put players out there that don't even think about the empty net. They think about protecting the middle, not giving them a chance to set up, just chipping it out and just grinding that clock down. Not a little bit of cheating this way for my cookie.
Yep.
Like, you're not thinking about getting a fucking goal. You're thinking about preventing one. That's 6-on-5, and you need players out there who play all the time with that mentality. And like, as I love Willie, and as great as he is, he's not that guy. He's not your shutdown defensive guy. Have Matthews out there. He's good at that. He is defensive side of the puck. He is smart. He is good. He's got a good stick. He's strong on his body position. Like, I find with him out there, but Willie is just, he's got the other mentality, and it is pure offense, and he's phenomenal at it. But that's not a 6-on-5 guy. I saw him out there, and I was just like, ugh. And then lo and behold, doesn't get the puck out when it's on his stick, back of our net, end up losing the game. Bit frustrating for sure, but you got a point. It's not the end of the world. This point streak has been great. And, big test against Edmonton on Saturday. You got to keep this thing going. And I would just like, it would have been nice if that was, keep your 2-goal lead, build on it even with one of those chances. And then, we're really starting to feel like, okay, like, the track is behind you, and it is clear that these guys are turning a corner. And I still think that that's very much there and in front of us. Again, an opportunity against Edmonton. Who knows what Oilers team is going to show up, but you could keep building on what they've done here with this turnaround, even though some people are hesitant to call it a turnaround.
Yeah, just a reminder that they're still in one. Like, they got to continue to collect points. And I think that the frustrating part for me is how many points they lost to start the year. And you have it right there on the table for you against an inferior opponent in San Jose. You just need that Mariano Rivera moment there. And I think they were a bit deflated by the OEL injury, because I thought it was a great start to the game, man. Like, the third line, all the conversation the last couple of days, it's Joshua that gets the goal, then Pappy backdoor on the power play. Like, finally, I mean, the celebration for a power play goal in this market is insane to me, considering the talent, but that's great news. Hildeby was out of this world. It looked like your prototypical Berube win from last year, where Stoley's tremendous or Woolsey's is tremendous, and they find a way to get the job done. They win the game, but I like the fact that you can't place blame on the goaltender. Like, he lets 3 goals in, but I thought Hildeby was awesome. Makes 29 saves last night.
Yeah, I mean, the more you watch this guy, again, he's had ample opportunity to stumble or let the moment or the stage kind of get the best of him. And that would even be acceptable if he did have one game where it's like, hey, park it, come back again strong. He hasn't had any of that. He hasn't had a flash of it. He's been phenomenal. And, you start to wonder, like, is this guy a huge part of the future of the Toronto Maple Leafs? The 2 goalies they have, I mean, Stoley was phenomenal last year. Woll has been phenomenal this year and in the past. And now you got Hildeby. It's huge to have a guy be able to step in when you're up against so much adversity, when you got these injuries going. And, he's so big in there. But you forget how big he is because he moves pretty well. And when he goes down, like those pads, there's nothing down low to shoot at.
Monster.
He played phenomenal. That one short side, their first goal. I mean, yeah, he'd probably say, damn it, I wish I had that covered. But it goes side to side pretty quick. He's got to get over, and the guy labels it fine. the tying goal, it should have been out. 6-on-5, he can't see a seeing eye shot through
Good shot.
traffic from the point. Not really on him either. Like, yeah, you let 3 in, but it seemed like he was on pace for, just some ridiculous numbers again. I can't hang it on him whatsoever. Again, that game was just could have gone either way. Could have been a 3-0 win just as easy. It was the margins were really thin, and unfortunately they dropped the ball. And to me, it was the 6-on-5, and it was the puck, taking care of the puck in overtime was kind of a head scratcher. They're usually a lot better at that.
Even in OT, he makes the initial save, and if you do recall, it's like Wenberg on the doorstep on the rebound. I mean, there's only so much you can do as a goaltender, and you got to credit Brad Treliving too. Like, they signed this guy to a 3-year deal. I understand it's a small sample size, but that means still next year, this guy's got a 2-way contract, and he can go back to the American Hockey League without waivers. So they still have him for a couple of years where they can move and groove and manipulate
Oh yeah.
sort of the up and down system. Like, I think it was a shrewd piece of business. They're not going to get credit for it because this team is in one right now, but I like where this crease is at, considering the conversation, say, the last 15 to 20 years since Cujo, since Belfour. It's a good place. Although you got to get these guys healthy. I don't know what's going on with Wall when he's back. Stolarz hasn't skated, but they're so fortunate to be able to have this depth right now, Rosie.
Yeah, I think by all accounts, and they have been pretty steady with their reporting that Woll is going to be ready here this weekend, whether he plays on Saturday or not. I
Who would
think
you
it's
play?
going to be a one. What's that?
Who would you start against Edmonton?
I kind of think you stay with Hildeby. I mean, he's young. He doesn't have
too.
a big injury history. He's hot. I think stay with him and maybe Woll will be on the bench and then be ready for Tuesday or whatever it is. But I have no problem with playing Hildeby again. I think Woll will be waiting in the weeds. And I think, right as of now, or obviously not officially now, but it feels like we are very close to having a Hildeby Woll 1-2 punch, which will serve this team really well. Yeah, it's just the injuries of those other two. And again, I can't help but thinking, when you're moving Domi around, Domi's taking this 2-on-1 as a D-man in overtime and not really his bag. I think he played it all right. But then as soon as the play's made, he stands up and looks and watches to see what happened. And the guy just drives right around him and buries the goal like that. I get you're not a defenseman, but it's that kind of thing. And we're talking about the lines. Like, is this team going far with Domi being on the top line? I don't really think so. I think he's suited better elsewhere. I think that since the summertime, we have been talking about, I think we still need, a top 6 forward. How the hell are we going to get that? The only thing I see is looking at our depth at goaltender. And, it's risky. You move Woll or Stoley or something like that sometime in the future. Can Hildeby, is this what Hildeby is, or is this a flash in the pan? It's certainly risky, but I see that as our only value right now, with a lot of teams, that could use one of those goaltenders. And I don't think it's Hildeby that you want to move, to be honest with you, if you do in fact go that way. But again, I think, I don't think we're in that conversation yet, as Stolarz is nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere. I also wanted to add, you don't want to strip these guys of their skill, but they got to find a way to shoot the puck more. And I think it was in OT. I don't recall, maybe late in the third period. There was like a 3-on-2 or 3-on-1 with that top line. And I don't know what the hell was going on. We had like between the leg passes, behind the back, like just shoot the puck. Like, especially in Matthews, especially with Matthew Nyes, even Domi's got a pretty good shot and release. Simplifying, I think, is important for some of these guys. Again, you don't want to strip their talent, the skill. Matthews, I know what this guy's capable of. I know what Nyes can do, but I think when you're struggling and you can't provide offense the way you want, just put the puck on net. How many times have we seen in this league something leaky go in? And I think with any release these guys have, put it in. But I noticed that in the third period, they just got way too sexy, way too pretty.
Yeah, and you go into Domi's head, and where is he thinking? I mean, opportunity on a top line. He is a pass first type of guy, and you're playing with those guys. You gotta, he's thinking, my job's to get the puck to Matthews, and you get an odd man rush to look him off and wire one. Like, there's some looks that go on in the dressing room after the game if you're doing that to a guy like Austin Matthews. So you want to dish it. I get it, but like, I keep seeing these highlight reels of Austin Matthews from the past, and you almost forget, because it's like it's going on a year and a half of that being absent. His dynamic shot and play and confidence, and his just like I'm better than everyone. I don't care who's in net. I can roast anyone from anywhere. His one-timer side, coming down the left side, just roasting goalies. Get him the puck. He loads that thing up, and just like a pure shooting, scoring stud, he just, and it's like the video is like 10 minutes long of just like 5-second clips of him wiring pucks from all over the ice, just oozing confidence, oozing talent, oozing goal scoring ability. And that's kind of all but gone. It was great to see him wire one time from his favorite spot there. Nice dish from Willie on the power play. But you watch those highlight clips and you're like, oh my God, he is a long ways away from that. He just doesn't seem like himself, and it is very obvious to everyone right now. It's not like I'm hounding on him, but it's hard to defend that he is still the player that we have come to know in the past. I don't know if this is what we have to get used to, but to lose that guy and what he was, is, I can't tell you how much it hurts this team, because if you have that guy back, you look at all the games that were close, the one last night, he's the guy that just is the deciding factor in that team when he's as dynamic as he has been in the past. And it's very clear to everyone that it is not that anymore. And I can't figure out why, but your mind starts to drift to, does he have some kind of permanent injuries or whatnot? Tough, but maybe he's got a little confidence, or a feeling of things are coming back his direction with that power play goal last night. It's interesting, but it is definitely the talk of the town.
Just confusing stuff, man. Like late in the third in OT, like he's like deferring. Just shoot the puck, man. Out the Leaf Station 401. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We're a couple minutes away here from Paul Bissonnette, dropping by Leafs Morning Take. I thought Nick Robertson had a strong night. I know he plays 12:04, but had 3 shots on goal. He was buzzing early. Not a shock there. You're right, though. Like, I don't know what the lineup change looks like for Saturday night when Bob McMahon, who scores every game against the Oilers, comes back into the lineup. Who comes out? And maybe it's Michelli time, too. That's of intrigue to me. But I want to get your thoughts on Henry Thrun. I was there in person. I think the good news, I didn't notice Henry Thrun. Like, that's the biggest compliment I can give this guy. But +1, 2 shots on goal, 1 hit, played 16:07, paired with Simone Benoit.
Yeah, that bottom pairing, he's coming in. He hasn't played a game for the Leafs. I played D for a couple of years pro, and a lot of times it's like, if I don't notice you, you had a good game. You're not flashy. You're not going to do stuff that gets on the highlight reel, but you got to keep shit to the outside. You got to move the puck and just stay away from those disasters. I think by all accounts he did that, and I think we're going to see a lot more Henry Thrun in the future, as I don't think OEL is going to get good news about what happened to his foot there. So that is that's a good sign. I mean, if we were sitting here going, holy shit, this guy's not ready, he can't play, you're in a big time jam. So another guy comes in and is serviceable. Hopefully that continues. But, he's one of those guys where there's not a whole lot to say after a game. And that's a good thing because he did his job.
I'm wondering, like, are we going to see Troy Stecher run PP2 now with OEL out? You think we see that? We finally see that? Look, we've been talking about that for a couple of weeks.
I don't know what they do. It's another blow. I mean, it's nice to get one and get one that we haven't really seen all season. Just a nice, like, pick them apart, have someone lose their position and go to the wrong guy and leave a guy open and bang, it's in the back of the net. But I don't think you can overstate how detrimental it is to this team to have one of the worst power plays in the league. Like, this should be a team that hangs their hat on their power play, and people would say that are outside of the market, oh, this team's just got a hot power play and that power play's covering up a lot of your warts and, that type of mentality. But it is the opposite of that. Like, if they had anything but a dog shit power play, so many of those games that were close ones, that were coin flips, they go the other way. Like, you should be able to rely on that power play with all the talent they have. It should be one of their strengths, and it has been a weakness for so long now, and it's inexplicable. We'll see if that jarred something loose last night. It was great to see Willie set that one up and for Austin to actually bang one home. But OEL, obviously a huge blow to them. I don't know what they're going to do. Is Stecher on the back? He's probably the guy that stands out more than anyone, isn't he?
Yep, and we're going to bring in Biz in a second here. We got great news on Oliver Ekman-Larsson per Darren Dreger. The news appears to be better than expected for OEL. See how he feels in the morning, but the veteran D-man may test his injury tomorrow. And if he feels he can play, he will. Surprising considering the pain he was when he left last night's game. This is massive news. Yeah.
Dude, I'm shocked. That looked ugly. And again,
What a
when sometimes
stallion.
you hurt yourself and it's like, and you limp off and it's like, I got to see how it feels, see how you feel in the morning. That did not look like one of those. That looked like you can slow-mo it and say, and right there, his ankle broke and he can't stand on it. And the trainer comes out and he needs help getting off. And that's it for 6 to 8 weeks. Like, it looked like that. So to hear that report is phenomenal news, man. If we only lose him for this weekend, I would be thrilled, man, because it would really help out that back end. It's looking to Carlo, Tanev, and OEL. You can't do a lot of damage with those guys on the shelf, man.
Yeah, I think OEL found out he had a one-on-one with me on Monday, and he's like, I can't miss this, so I got to stay healthy. I got to stay in this lineup as we bring in today's guest, none other than the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Paul Bissonnette. Biz, how are you, buddy? How you doing?
What's up, boys? Can you guys hear me? I'm all good here.
You're good.
Yeah, we got you. How
Awesome,
you been, man? What was your reaction to that game last night?
Little bit of a delay here on my middle screen, but I'll just look at this one. But brutal. It looked brutal. I agree. I was listening to you guys before I hopped on. And if you go down Carlo, Tanev, and OEL, you might be calling up Rosie to play D. Like at that point. So,
last thing they need.
Just keep it simple, right? But no, obviously good news there. Sucks, right? Because you go back to that Washington game they were up to, this one they were up to, especially against a team like San Jose. Nice to get the point, but oh man, it would have been nice to keep that momentum going that they've been gaining over the last 5-6 games.
Yeah, we were talking about the power play before you got on. Obviously, pretty nice to see Nylander to Matthews, him shoot, but like, how detrimental is it to this team? I don't think it's like really talked about enough. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, their power play shit and whatever, maybe they'll get the next one. But like, it's disgusting how bad they have been, what their numbers are, and like, how big of a detriment is that to this team to have that much skill and have no power play to speak of?
Yeah, I guess it was, the fact that they were going with the 5 forwards and like that late in the season, like still trying things where things weren't working. But I was also listening before I hopped on here. Like you said, like when you have a good power play, you can play like below average hockey some nights, and all of a sudden you find yourself in the win column. That's where they're not relieving a lot of their 5-on-5 pressure, right? Like, and all of a sudden you start seeing a little bit more contributions from other guys outside the big guys. Like that third line's been awesome with the Dakota Joshua, McMatthews, and the other boys. But yeah, it's a bit of a killer, and the fact that we're this late into the season and it's still not figured out. It's just like it's Rosie, it just sucks the life because like it's the top guys, right? So then they're feeling the more added pressure 5-on-5, and you can also just feel it weighing on them from over the course of at least a 30 game start to the season. So it sucks. It's not alleviating a lot of their pressure, but they're gonna have to bump and grind, boys. Like this is a team that's just gonna have to get everybody healthy on the back end at the right time, clicking. We know that they have the goaltending, especially if it stays healthy, and then just hope the power play and the offense is clicking by the time playoffs rolls around, if that's even a thing.
Yeah, you're right, Biz. It's going to be a grind all season long, and we're a bit frustrated by the conclusion of that game, and I think some wind out of the sails, obviously, when OEL goes down. But what was your reaction, your level of frustration, just seeing the way the tying goal went in, the OT winner, specifically from some of the big boys like Nylander and Matthews? I think they just need more of those guys in moments like that.
Okay, so like, I guess if we're just gonna have the conversation, let's have it. Like
we are.
People were a little bit upset, I guess, on the back check from Matthews on that OT winner, right? Like, I don't know, man. These guys are playing a lot of hockey. Like, you guys probably watch even a little bit more than me. Like, does he look like he's 100% to you guys? Matthews?
He's not. Like, have you seen that shit on Twitter? It's like highlight reels of Matthews from the past, and it's like a 10-minute montage of him like ripping like
Right.
40 goals. It's so dynamic, and you forget. It's like, oh my God, he used to be filthy, and now he's so many notches below that, and it's going on like a year and a half of that, and it goes back to going to Germany. Like, the only answer to a guy losing that much mojo, to me, has got to be some kind of ailing injury that just prevents him from doing that dynamic shit. And like, I know he buried one-timer in his favorite spot on the power play last night. That was great to see. But when you see him get chances that he used to just lick his chops in, he's he's like no look dishing it into traffic. Like, what's going on with the guy that
Yeah.
good when he's resorting to that kind of shit?
Yeah, like it's the kind of the second guessing himself. And I guess, like you said, like looking back on like the highlight clips, like, and like he was all world then, right? And it just feels like he's lost that pop. He doesn't have that like sheer, just like, break away from a guy, individual efforts and taking over shifts more frequently. And I feel like that's something that I'm not seeing in his game. And that's why I'm like, is he playing at like 80, 85%? But then you also go, like, he's played a lot of hockey over the last like 8 to 10 years, right? Like last night, I think he hit the 22-minute mark and he had to play, I think it was just under 11 minutes, 5-on-5 against Celebrini. And I know Celebrini's young and he's only in his, second year here, but like he's a cheetah. Like these guys are gazelles out there. So he's got to keep up with him all night long, the way that he skates and that he plays. And then, you're playing every other night. And then he played a total of 22 minutes. And then in that last shift in the overtime, I believe like he was kind of caught out there considering how much he played. I think he hit the 52-second mark. So he's at the end of his shift trying to back check there. So I don't know. He just doesn't look 100% to me. He doesn't look like he's his full dominant self. But I mean, I never had to play, first line center and go against these difficult matchups night in, night out, where if you are going through a little bit of a dip, there's no hiding. Like you're the guy. You got paid all the money. There was no hiding in that situation. So would I like to see him get back to where he was? Absolutely. In the meantime, it's also going to take efforts from everybody else in a collective body of work. So, I'm not going to get frustrated about it. I'm just going to hope by the time that the end of the season runs around that he's clicking on all cylinders. He feels more like himself. It just feels, I guess, not as likely because he's going to be going through the gauntlet of this season. And then they got Olympics and it's just so much hockey, boys.
Yeah, it just feels like he's deferring a bit. And I think my mistake personally is I try to compare this guy to some of the best in the planet, like namely Nathan McKinnon, who I think is the horniest player in the NHL. Like the guy just froths when he plays hockey. And Matthew's just a different DNA, different setup. Curious to get your opinion, Biz, on this Berube Nylander relationship. So he puts him on the third line, but again, he responds. I thought Nylander was great last night.
Yeah, I don't think he gets rattled by any of this stuff. Like if he had a fuck you match with Berube, I think like the next day he'd be like laughing with him and like hitting his shin pads at practice. Like some guys are just like that. And also like some guys don't mind getting called out and getting pee-pee whacked more often than not. And I think that, he's a guy where it's like his high end is so good where some nights, like right from puck drop, he's ready to go. And you're like, okay, Willie's got it tonight. And other nights you're like, where has he been for the last two periods? And then all of a sudden he'll turn it on. So he could be frustrating in that regard. But at the end of the day, like he's done the most damage for them probably all season long as far as like consistency and who's been their best player. Maybe you could throw JT in there. Maybe not like, maybe not as many points, but definitely bringing like an all around effort and helping out in other areas. So, I mean, I'm okay with the dynamic because every time that Chief gets asked about it, he like has this like grin on his face and when he's being asked. So it's all good and he has a smirk about him and you could tell he loves Willie. And you ain't going anywhere if you don't have Willie going. So he better like him.
And I know there's a sour taste in the mouth after last night's game, whatever, but they've got points in the last 6 games straight. And that is a far cry from the shit we were watching to start the season. Aside from last night, whatever, do you think this team has actually turned a corner? Like, have they figured their shit out? Are they done with that garbage play? And what's your level of like belief in this team to ultimately the goal right now is to get into the playoffs? But I mean, there's a lot of runway left, 50 games. Do you believe that this team and this group is going to climb out of this and, maybe even challenge for the Atlantic, or do you think they're a ways away?
Okay, so like going back to Matthews, I do feel like they got to find one more guy that he can play with consistently. Like everyone keeps bringing up the Marner thing. Like he ain't here anymore. Like what's going to be your solution long-term on his wing? And then I feel like the third line, like we talked about, has alleviated a lot of like that pressure because like Dakota Joshua was not looking good at the start of the year. He got kind of the call out and the healthy scratch that he needed. Now he looks a lot more like he did 2 years ago. So, like I said, if it's all about timing, if they keep up this till the end of the season. I don't even care if they get a wild card going into playoffs. If goaltending's clicking, if their back end is healthy with Tanev and Carlo and they're, they're that 6-man group with, I'm assuming, I'm drawing a blank on the Troy Stecher, with him as your sixth guy. Like, I really like them healthy with Troy Stecher as your sixth guy. Like, I feel like that's a big, a solid back end. Are we still missing our high-end puck-moving power play D-men like a Quinn Hughes or a Rasmus Dahlin? Absolutely. But if they get the goaltending, they got their D healthy and solid, and they got that third line playing that way, and maybe a solution for Matthews' right side, I really feel that this is a team that could surprise people. Just get into playoffs, worry about peaking at the right time, and we could even have a better result than they did last year. I feel like last year, if we look back after like this whole this whole window being closed, so to speak, if that was like the peak and that was the high end, yeah, I could see that and I can understand. But to completely wave the white flag like this is over, absolutely not. They still have a very good team if they can all put it together and figure things out. And the East, I know Florida, when they get healthy, they're for sure the top dog. But outside of that, if Leafs are clicking on all cylinders, no one like scares me here. No one, does anyone scare you guys in the East outside of Florida if they're healthy and clicking on all cylinders?
I think they could still win the Atlantic right now. Like, nobody's standing. Who's going to win the Atlantic? I have no fucking idea. But
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
And another thing is, like, for 10 years, this team has been like the core four, and it's like, okay, great, you got some fancy superstars, but you get into playoff series and they have nothing in the bottom six. Like, you can only play those guys so many minutes. A team's going to pick you apart over 7 games and expose that lack of depth and playoff mentality. And they have, and they've gone nowhere to speak of. Recently, with this 6-game stretch, the bottom 6 has been like, that's the way Tree Living built this team, in my opinion. Like, we need some dogs who can chip in and do all the things that we haven't been able to do. How much belief does that give you that the recent play of the bottom 6, I mean, the emergence, like Joshua and McMahon, that line's been gross. Scotty Lawton has been, he carries the bottom 6 a lot of the nights. Like, how far could this team go if they get healthy and they have a team that's actually built that way?
Well, you could definitely see a difference when Lawton got healthy and came back. I feel like he provides not only a lot to inside the locker room with how loose he keeps things and just an absolute glue guy, but he just like, he's got this swagger to him that really helps out the middle of their ice, which I love. And going back to what you said, like the bottom 6, if they're going the way they've been going, not the issue, right? And I think that even if you go back to last year's playoffs, right? Like, did Mitch Marner do anything against Ottawa where you were blown away, where they're like, oh, they need that guy heading into this year's playoffs? No, I thought he was solid. I thought he made some great plays. He was very opportunistic, had a solid start to that series against Florida, but as the going got tough, it's like, that's not something where I'm like, oh man, they really need that heading into this year's playoffs, where it's just like, solve that problem on the right side next to Matthews. Get, if we keep seeing what we've seen from that middle to bottom 6, good. And if the D are playing up to their capabilities with our solid goaltending, buddy, I'm telling you, this team can figure things out and go on a run. So I'm not really concerned right now. I'm not going to hit the panic button. It feels like, I don't know, like at least for like Leafs talk radio, it felt like people were ready to fucking start the rebuild and like maybe trade Matthews at a high. Like, it was getting a little nutty there for the first 20 games. I'm not there. I think they can right the ship as they've done over the last 6 games. And I don't care if they end up getting the 8th seed and go against Florida in the first round, if that was what ends up happening, or Tampa Bay. Like, it's like, you're going to have to go through all these difficult series anyway. Just get healthy, get playing well, and figure things out.
Biz, this is why I brought you on. You got the fucking passion. I'll go through a wall for you right now, but I want to pump your former teammates' boots a bit. Oliver Ekman-Larsson gets hurt last night, but it sounds like it's not as bad as we thought. What was it like to play with, though, and how impressed have you been with sort of the way he's evolved his game the last couple of years?
Yeah, so when I played with when he first came in, like, he was such a raw talent, incredible. We had really good veteran D on the back end in Arizona. So it was like the guys like Adrian Aucoin, Derek Morris, Radoslav Klesla, Roosevelt was there. So And then we had him and Jans as our offensive defenseman. Jans was a little bit older and a little bit more responsible with the power play. So it freed up where he just had to worry about 5-on-5 and then providing that like secondary offense from the back end, in which eventually they ended up obviously moving on from Jans, and he stepped in and he had back-to-back 20-goal years. I believe maybe even one of those years Jans was there when he had the 20. But, I saw that high-flying offense, guy carrying the puck up the ice, and then, when Talk came in and signed that big contract, he kind of hit a wall and then ended up going on to Vancouver and kind of lost all confidence. And it was hard to see, right? Because he was a shell of what I saw from that 20-goal man, and just a guy who was like hard to play against, good one-on-ones, always, not killing guys, but closing guys off on the back, like in his own end below the goal line, allowing his center to come through for support, always had a great stick, good on gaps. And I just feel like finally getting out of the noise of getting out of Vancouver and going to Florida, it just kind of rebooted him. And that's kind of the defenseman I'm seeing now, is the defenseman of the past. And now that he has a little less responsibility offensively than he did when I played in Arizona, I feel like he can focus more on playing defense and playing a little bit more with that chip on his shoulder that you saw him develop in Florida. So it's a fine line between like putting him in the right situations. And I like him on the power play as that guy to walk the line. I actually wish he would shoot it a little bit more. I think that to solve a power play sometimes, to establish that threat up top, and I'm not even saying it's a big slap shot all the time, but like those walking the line, finding the lane and getting it off your stick, those little sifter shots, I think if they maybe simplify and go back to that, they can open things up. And I think that he can really contribute to that aspect of their game. But I'm happy with where he's at. I think that he's really good in that, 19 to 20 minute range. Maybe when he gets in the 20, 23, 24 minute range, sometimes he can get a little bit exposed, as most guys do when they're playing that much. But I'm just happy that he's back with Tree Living, who he was with in Arizona, who loved him. And he's flourishing and thriving again. And he's also not making $8.5 million, where everyone's like, that's all they want to talk about is he's making too much money for what he does. So that's the that I know, and I'm starting to see more of them. And I hope I gave you guys a good enough breakdown of what Oliver Ekman-Larsson is.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned before too, like solving that problem of playing with Matthews, and that goes back to the summertime. Like we're a top 6 forward away from being complete, and I just don't see this team going the distance with Max Domi on the top line. But our shelves are empty, prospects, draft picks, we're depleted. But you start to look at the goaltending position and the emergence of Hildeby and how great he's been. Does your mind start to wander towards maybe we could make a move at goaltending position, as there's a lot of teams licking their chops there, and that could maybe facilitate that problem in the top 6?
Buddy, you nailed it. Like if they do want to go make a big splash, I think they can probably say goodbye to one of them. I think that they've been smart about at least waiting till now. But then who do you guys move? Like Wall when he's healthy, which is rare for a long stretch of time, but his high end game is like, it's world class, right? So it always leaves you wanting more. And you also don't want to all of a sudden move off on him, and then now all of a sudden he's like, he's healthy and he figured things out. Hildeby is a guy that I trust, obviously huge in size, and over time, maybe could, if it's all about calming things down. It's like being in the rocking chair, kind of like the Carey Price style, where you're just kind of like a Hellebuck, just like good with your movement. So if you had Hildebeest and Stolars as your 1-2, and you were able to move on from Wall and get that good return for a big top 6, but I get what you're saying. Like, I'm a big Domi guy. I think he provides that spice for you come playoff time, where I like him in that middle 6 where he can bounce around there. And hey, if you need him for a plug and play for a game or two, he can make some plays for Matthews. Like, he's not intimidated by playing on his line, but when he has to play in that top line role for a 15, 20 game stretch, if it's ever even that, that's when it's just hard, man. Like, you can't you can't put a guy who's not that in that situation and expect him to thrive and have that consistency in that position. But I also think that Max Domi's playmaking is a little bit underrated. Like, he can make some of those little saucer passes. He did play that game in junior with the London Knights. So I don't think it's a long-term solution. I love Domi and what he would provide come playoff time and playing like a piece of shit. And he'll, he's not afraid to get his nose dirty, right? And he'll fight a guy even above his weight class. So he's a valuable piece to me at $3 million. But going back to your original comment, like, if they can somehow swap out one of these goalies at the deadline, it's a hard decision to make, not one that I would want to make. And I get if they didn't, but you have to imagine that is their biggest asset to go out the door for a quick solution, in my opinion.
Let's not forget about this Russian kid as well, Artur Akhtyamov. Nobody knows how to pronounce his name, but it sounds like he's got a bright future as well. Biz, can't thank you enough. I will say I was watching the Sandbagger this week. I felt like I was watching a Biz Nasty riot date, dude. You killed it. You got something to you. You got some jam, buddy. You got it going on.
What do you mean, on my golf swing?
Yeah, exactly, on your golf swing. No, I just.
Well, what are you referring
to?
To?
Day overall. No, I think it was a good day it was a good approach to the day overall, man. You did well.
Buddy, we had a blast. Like, she's like one of the boys, man. It was a good, great Sandbagger. Like, it was Jans and Witt. Those guys can just shit on me for days, right? It's such a good dynamic. So I'm just grateful that those guys keep me honest, and that Paige, being the superstar that she is, was kind enough to join us. It was wild seeing all the guys at the golf course just stare at her and follow around with carts and have the rangefinders out staring at her. So it was a wild experience. And I appreciate that.
That piss bomb story was something else. Like, you explaining what a piss bomb is to just an absolute rocket, I thought was hilarious.
Rosie, did you ever do a piss bomb?
I saw it. It was in summer hockey. This guy that was way older than me, and I swear his foreskin was the size of a balloon, and just it hit the roof when he let her buck. And I was young, and I was like, I've never seen anything like that. It's a genius move when you think about it. And Paige, like, probably not coming from that world, she handled that like she's fucking cool, man. She laughed, and you didn't throw her off at all, man. That was fun to watch, man. You guys do a great job.
She can hang with the boys anytime. Exactly. Boy, I appreciate you guys. Sorry, I was a little squirrely. I got a video here that's in real time, and then this one's a little off. So I'm kind of seeing myself talk like a few seconds behind. I feel like an idiot here.
Oh, you got to manage those cookies, man.
Yeah. What do you mean, manage the cookies? The weed cookies?
Jesus, you've been in this business a while. I cleared them cookies on that laptop, Biz.
Yeah. I got all my page internet content open here. I got to close it up, eh?
Page Spearnack, fucking extra windows open.
Holy shit, Biz. Hey. You're an absolute weapon, man. Can't thank you enough.
Dude.
And you got me fired up, man. I will say this, like, 30-minute interview, I don't know how I was feeling about this team. I feel way better right now.
Well, what would you rather be in first place, no issues? Like, that's not the reality.
Exactly.
It's get into playoffs. That's it. Get into playoffs, and it's a chip in a chair, boys.
There you
Love
go.
you, man. Take care, okay?
Biz.
Love it, boys. See ya.
You guys the best. Paul Bissonnette from Spit and Chicklets. Did you watch the Sandbagger? Like, she's a wicked
Clips of it. I
want to go. Paige Spranek.
Yeah, she's awesome. I want to go watch the whole thing. I was watching their internet classic. That was I watched it with my kid hours and hours. That was intense. I'm a golf nut. It's so fun to watch those guys that are entertaining in the golf atmosphere. So I got to go check the whole thing out here and get some time. But yeah, I mean, I felt like you were a little more down on the team than I was. I'm glad Biz kind of turned you around a little bit. Yeah. But like, when you think about it, if we have a healthy back end, like, you get those 3 players back we were talking about before Biz hopped on, a Troy Stecher in the mix where guys are playing above what the expectations are. We've got depth coming out our ears at the goaltending position. Our bottom 6 is ready for war and ready to play in a deep playoff run. Like, and if Austin Matthews, Willie Nylander, we know what Matthew Nyes is capable of. Johnny Tavares is the best of the best when it's in tight in front of the net along the board. Like, we have still got pieces. And considering we were, in fact, thinking about just tearing this thing down to the studs and starting over and going through a big dark period in this organization, when you step back and look at it now that they've got 6 points in a row here, 6 games in a row with points, you start to see like there is a chance for this. And to top it off, the East, there's no weapons. Like you have constantly ran into the Panthers and the Lightning and the Bruins, as we talk about all the time. Give me the Tampa Bay Lightning round 1. Let someone maybe knock out fucking Florida. Maybe their time is done. Like I could see the light at the end of this tunnel, and this season could go one of many ways. But one of those is having a very realistic chance at a run, because I mean, it is there for the taking if they want to put the pieces together.
I hear you. And, to me, it's just like, I want to see them play the best teams in the league. Like to squander points against the San Jose Sharks, who are, they're fun to watch, but they're not a great team. Like even looking ahead to the month of January, I think things will be heightened up quite a bit. They got Winnipeg twice. They got the Panthers. They got the Islanders, who have been a great story this season. They got Vegas twice. They got Minnesota, Colorado. I was going through the schedule in January. Why the fuck are they playing the Colorado Avalanche at 1:30 Eastern time on a Sunday afternoon? That is like feature presentation Saturday night hockey. And unfortunately, I'll be a beer league. I can't even watch that game. But like they've got some big time, big pant opponents coming up. And that's what'll be a true indication for me of what this team truly is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, those are the tests, no doubt about it. And
yeah.
I mean, they're not there yet, but again, like the pieces are there and the potential is there. And, maybe it'll take a year like this where the regular season is just a grind, and you start off horribly and you have injuries coming out your ass and you just can't seem to catch a break or put things together, but you're still chipping points away, and the division isn't as hot as it used to, and you can go through a slide like they did at the beginning of the year and it doesn't end your season. And then all of a sudden, playoff time's a long ways away and a lot can happen and a lot can change. I really believe that this team, with what they have, potentially in net, potentially on the back end, potentially in the bottom 6 with their depth, and we still have, superstars on this roster, like this could still be a really good hockey team. And maybe it's good for character development and everything else. It's the opposite of what they've done in the past, where they just run show in the regular season and they don't even have to give a shit and they win points. It's not really conducive to having that dog mentality. Maybe they are building that character right now as we speak. Again, I'm being really optimistic here, and why not? I see a path for them to be a great team this year, despite what we've seen.
Yeah, fuck it. I'm buying what you're selling. I think the only concern for me would be these injuries on the blue line. Like Tanev, I don't know what the hell is going on. Like it feels like he's injury away from his career being over. Yeah, things have to go right too. But I'm buying what you're selling, because this happens a lot. I even remember like the year the Capitals won the Stanley Cup. People were so finished with that team. They're like, they're not winning shit. They're on the downswing and they won a Stanley Cup. There's a lot of prime examples. Like even Florida a couple of years ago, they barely got into the Stanley Cup playoffs. It started the whole thing for them. So I'm going to ride with you on that, bud. A reminder, you can catch Off the Roster, Toronto's new sports show with Cabby, Lindsay Dunn, and Dan Riccio every weekday morning at 10 a.m. on the Nation Network YouTube channel. And anywhere you stream your podcast, make sure to subscribe as well. Off the Roster, the new sound in a 6. Don't miss it. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. We're getting ready for the Troy Stecher revenge game. And also, we're both curious, is Tristan Jarry going to start in this game for the Edmonton Oilers? But the one thing I am playing, Bob McMahon will be horny coming off suspension here, Rosie. And on top of that, he's an Alberta boy, as you know, 5 goals in 4 career games against Edmonton. So give me the Bob McMahon anytime goal tomorrow night.
5-4. I didn't know that. I'm curious to see where they plug them back in. Are they going to go back? Like, one thing I will say is that coaches, I don't want to say they're superstitious, but they don't have a lot of control over the game. One thing they have is the lineup and the configurations, and oftentimes they hardly ever change a lineup after a win. And to go and play the way they did, and then to drop one and have to mix up the lineup, I wouldn't be surprised if they do just go back to the status quo and move McMahon back to his third line, move Willie back up to his line. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but I'm interested to see what they do in fact do. For my bet, I am taking the under on Saturday night. I think our goaltending's been phenomenal, and if it is Jari, I could see him starting off well. Long term, it'll be interesting to see how he works in Edmonton, but I think it might be a low-scoring affair, even though it is the mighty offensive Edmonton Oilers. I can just see it being kind of a goaltending duo.
Rosie, would you put Matias Michelli in there at some point, whether it's Saturday or Tuesday? I can't believe it. It's been 6 straight games and 7 of 8 where he's been a health bomb. Last played November 28th.
Yeah, it's getting to be a while. I don't see where you put him or who you pull out. Again, I thought Robertson, he easily could have had 2 goals. Like, he made some plays. I was watching with a buddy who doesn't watch the Leafs, and there was multiple times when Robertson was out there going, holy, like, he is skilled. Hey, he's fast, he's skilled, he makes plays, and he works his nuts off. I don't think you pull him out. I don't see where you fit Matias Michelli, but I do think it's his job to be a pro and to stay ready. It's not like he's rotting. It's not like he's rotting up in the press box and he's done forever. Stay ready, be a professional, stay focused. I think he's going to get his chance. I do not think it's Saturday, though.
Sounds good. Okay, Rosie, great stuff. Any big plans for the weekend?
Lots of coaching, lots of hockey. Saturday night, I hope I get a break to watch that game. If not, it will be checking things on my phone. But my life is minor hockey these days, but we're going to mix in some Christmas stuff, some kid stuff. I am soaking up having young kids during Christmas because it doesn't last forever and it is magical. So yeah, looking forward to a good weekend. Looking forward to Saturday night for sure.
Best time of year, and coming up on Monday, Zach Phillips will be filling in for yours truly, so it's going to be you and Zach. I'm headed off to practice. We'll see who I interview, whether it's OEL or somebody else, but I'll come back Tuesday with a fresh new one-on-one. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to Monday as well, man.
Love it, and going to go dig into the news about OEL. I am thrilled that it is.
It's good news, man. It's great.
Sounds like positivity, man. Can't wait to hear the details.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Thank you to Paul Bissonnette, the one and only, for dropping by today's podcast. Thank you to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.